Hi there, welcome to Hire Home. My name is Sid Isbell, and I'm going to talk about what it's like to live in Mexico, specifically in the Yucatan. I currently live in the Yucatan, and I love it here, and I'm working as a realtor, and I'm also building houses for people, and I wanted to talk to you about what it's like to be here. So the Yucatan Peninsula is at the very bottom of Mexico. You can kind of see it over here in the map in this orange color, and it incorporates a little bit of Belize and a little bit of Guatemala. So there's the peninsula of the Yucatan, and then there is the state of Yucatan in Mexico. So over here on this green map, you see the state of Yucatan, and that's where it is. What's it like to live here? Well, on the left, I have a picture of the jungle. So it's jungle. It is arid jungle. It's not like a really wet jungle you might think of like a rainforest. It's a little bit different. And then we have a picture of sort of the Mayan people that live here, the beautiful women. This is one of the dances they do with the baskets on their shoulders. It's during a traditional fiesta. And so let's talk about the weather a little bit. So right now it's 93. And so I have the day's current map down here on the bottom. And you can see there's lots of rain. So right now we're in the rainy season. Every day it's raining. And the temperature is around 93, 94 right now. So in August, it's pretty hot. The hottest time of the year is in May. So you can see that here. So on this red line, we have the temperature. So the hottest time is May, and then it kind of cools off a little bit for June, and then it gets a little warmer in July, and it kind of dips from there. So by December, it's a really nice, like high 70s or mid 80s, and very comfortable. You can see the rainy season here. It starts in June and it goes till about October. So let's read through what I have. Climate patterns. Average daily maximum temperature is around 33 degrees Celsius or 91 degrees Fahrenheit. That's the average with high humidity. So the humidity here is fairly high. Average annual temperature is 27 degrees Celsius to 29 degrees Celsius. Now, if Celsius doesn't make a lot of sense to you, then 27 to 29 is right around in the 80s. So the average temperature is in the 80s. The dry season runs from November to April, with February and April being the least rainy. So those are the times of year where we don't get a lot of rain. And then April is the sunniest month. The rainy season stretches from May through November, and it peaks in June and September. Rainfall occurs in short, intense showers, leaving many dry hours. So typically what happens is the rainfall will happen after noon. So noon comes, it may get dark and stormy, and there's a quick rain shower, and then it brightens up again. So that's pretty typical afternoon showers. The wettest month of the year, we receive around 200 millimeters of water in June. That's not been my experience. I think things are changing a little bit here. So right now it's August. I'm recording this on August 3rd. And I've seen a lot more rain here lately. So we've been getting pretty good downpours in the afternoon. Humidity is highest in September at an average of around 86%. So if it's hot and the humidity is high, it does feel hotter. And so it says here, making it feel oppressive. Now, I don't have a problem with the heat. I actually live in a house with no air conditioning, and I'm totally fine. But you, if you want to live here, can simply have air conditioning. You can even have an air conditioning unit that will dehumidify the air. That'll make it feel a lot less sort of like cloying and wet and damp. March has the lowest humidity and the precipitation. Temperatures seldom drop below 10 degrees Celsius. So 10 degrees would be like 50. So it's rarely below that. And I'll tell you, living here, 50 degrees feels cold now. So that's me. There is a hurricane season, and that's from June to November. So you can have some big storms. Now, I live off the coast, so I'm about 50, 60 kilometers, maybe more like 80 kilometers from the actual ocean. So when we do get hurricanes, it doesn't hit and feel as severe here. So the next thing we're talking about was we're going to talk about the culture here. And what is the culture like in the Yucatan? Well, it's very vibrant and bright, and the people are very festive. I find the Mexican people really know how to live. They know how to have fun. They really prioritize balance in their lives, so there's a balance of work and family. And family is very important here. And you can see in the pictures on the screen, you've got really colorful huipil is what it's called. What the women wear is called a huipil. It's very traditional to the Maya. And then you've got the white on the gentleman, which looks so nice, and they're doing a traditional dance there. So the Maya people, I mean, it's interesting because we talk about the Maya people, and when you look at the pyramids, we look at all the stuff, and it's as if they're not here, but they are. They make up this area of Mexico, which has a different culture than other parts of Mexico because it's very Mayan here. The next thing I want to talk about is just a little bit about the Maya people. So the Maya people have been in this area for about 7,000 years, and some people think longer. And this area in yellow is the area where the Maya people inhabited. So it's part of Belize, part of Guatemala. I think there's even a little bit of western part of Honduras and El Salvador. So all over these areas, you find Mayan ruins, you find pyramids, you find cities, and actually now that they have something called LIDAR, which is this radar that kind of penetrates through the trees, they're starting to find a lot more archaeological remains in the dense jungle. So the culture, what I find here is that the Mayan people are very friendly. Now, if I walk down the street in a little tiny village where there's no Americans, well, I'll often get looked at a little bit, stared at a little bit, which is, it's okay. I just smile and say hello and everything's fine. Little kids might laugh at me or kind of gawk at me, which is fine because, people don't go bald here. So the fact that I don't have hair on my head is really unusual. It's not meant as anything other than you're going to stand out a little bit. So what I do is just be extra friendly with people. And once I do that, people here are very friendly and very nice. And the Mayan people are so kind. It's also one of the safest places in the world. Merida, the capital, is one of the safest cities in the world. So we're going to have a whole other episode on that. I want to talk a little bit about the history of the Maya. The Mayans were actually a very, very sophisticated culture and society. They had advanced astronomy, advanced mathematics. They desalinated water and moved water all over this peninsula. Very sophisticated technologies, and you can see some of the elements of what they built. Over on the left, in the black and white, you can see a drawing from one of their codices, which were their books. And unfortunately, the Spaniards burned the majority of their books. There aren't many left, but the ones that are left are amazing. They have such detailed information about these topics that I just mentioned. So the Maya are really a society and a culture to look at. Unfortunately, when the Spaniards arrived here in the peninsula in around 1542, and of course they colonized the Maya and enslaved them and changed everything. And so the Maya have really lost touch with their own culture to a large degree. Some areas are sort of recovering from this loss, and some areas aren't. But if you come here, do more than just look at the archaeological remains. Really dig into the history and the peoples that live here. The other thing is it has a very unique geography and a very unique habitats. So there's no surface water. So the entire peninsula is made up of limestone, and limestone is very permeable. So what happens is when water hits the limestone, it immediately just goes right into the limestone, and it's filtered. So what you find are these big holes in the limestone called cenotes, and then you can see the groundwater below the ground. So that's what a cenote is. We have a couple pictures here where you have to climb down into it and you can swim, and they're amazing. These long elements are roots from the plants above, the trees, and there's certain types of trees you'll see, and you can kind of know that there's a cenote. But what's interesting about it is really a cave where the roof is collapsed. So there are a lot of cenotes that are below the ground, and you don't even see them. The other thing about this place is it's a big flat peninsula, as you can see in this picture in the upper right, with a lot of trees. And sorry, you're hearing my cat in the background. Sorry about that. With of course, it's heavily forested, lots of trees. And then it has a very unique habitat. So you have things like jaguars, and you have these other animals called an agouti. Kind of looks like a giant hamster, but they're pretty big. They're probably the size of a large dog. And that's our episode for today. We're going to talk a little bit more about the Yucatan each day, a little information. We're going to talk about hospitals and healthcare and cities and living in the city versus living rural. And we're going to talk about a whole lot of things. So I'm going to record one video a day for the next 100 days. That's my goal. And teach you all about the Yucatan, and hopefully you'll enjoy the series. Thank you.